and southern Halifax County as this storm continues to move on to the east. We'll also watch out for southern Charlotte County too, probably over the next, what would you say, George, 60 to 90 minutes or so?
I would say so, Will, and that was interesting when you were showing the temperatures, and if you could plot those back on, because I want to point out something about the Martinsville temperature where it said it's 39 degrees. If it's 39 degrees, you're not having tornadoes. But the actual sensor for Martinsville is located west of town in the colder air. The actual town of Martinsville is warmer than that 39 that you're seeing. And when temperatures are in the 50s, while it's not impossible to get tornadoes, it is a very, very small chance. It's 65 degrees is kind of a line that we look for when we actually do see tornadoes reaching the ground. Up at cloud level, yes, it's spinning. There's a lot of rotation with these. And because we're not quite warm enough, the number one thing that we're simply going to see is going to be strong wind pushing out from the storm. That is this straight line wind. So even though we do have the tornado warning with this storm, straight line wind is going to be the number one culprit to cause some wind damage if we do see any wind damage out of this whatsoever. So that's interesting when you're pointing out about the temperatures. Will, let's go and let's put this back on the wind. This is where we're looking at the wind directions coming out from the storm. And if there's a tornado,
I mean, that looks, I mean, at the very least, like you said earlier, George, at the very least, this is producing a lot of wind. That is a textbook signature of some straight line winds. That's just probably about 2-3 minutes away from exiting Henry County, going on over into Pittsylvania County. If you're on 58, or for that matter, 57 right now, near the Leatherwood vicinity, Stockton, Grady, Sandy River, Soapstone, West Fork, get ready for some very, very gusty and potentially damaging wind as this storm moves in.
This black line right here, that is the county line between Henry County and Pittsylvania County, and we are expecting the storm to hold together to make its way into Pittsylvania County. So strong wind, and this is wind blowing from west to east and southwest to northeast out of the storm. Strong straight line wind is the number one issue that we are going to be seeing out of this as this does make its way toward Pittsylvania County. Will?
And the Weather Service is looking, obviously, at the same data that we are. They are going to allow this to, the warning itself goes until, let's see, I think it's 2:30. They will let this expire at 2:30. They don't plan to reissue another tornado warning over to Pittsylvania County, but they will keep that severe thunderstorm warning up, and honestly for good reason, because that is a load of wind getting ready to leave Henry County and going over into Pittsylvania County. And like George was saying, wind is wind. It doesn't matter if it's blowing out in a straight line or if it's got some sort of a spin to it. Wind is wind. If you've got 50, 60 mile an hour gusts, that's going to do just as much damage blowing in a straight line as it will with a little curve to it. So please take these warnings seriously if you get underneath either a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning today.
And Will, you were pointing that out in your broadcast last night, how the strong wind, the straight line wind would be the number one impact that we would be seeing, that we would have to watch out for. We just heard
we have a new warning.
Okay.
This is for...
What is this new warning?
This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Bedford, Franklin, Henry, and Pittsylvania County. As we look at the velocity tool, we don't really, again, basically, we're not seeing anything that would scream tornado right now. This is basically just straight line winds. And like we said, it just doesn't matter. We mentioned last night that we were going to have some pretty potent winds today. And right now, it looks like that little batch of potent wind could go up towards maybe areas around Smith Mountain Dam, up around Gretna, and around Alta Vista. I think this one's also moving at about 30 miles an hour. So we'll track that one out to the north and also to the east. So Dickinson, Pinhook, Gretna after the top of the hour at 3 o'clock, Alta Vista at 3:28, and Hodges there by around 3:40. Get ready for another round, or perhaps your first round of some rather potent and gusty winds today.
And just to clarify, as Will is showing you here, this is for a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning for Pittsylvania County. And even though this is being called a severe thunderstorm, we're actually detecting very little lightning with it. The bottom line, whatever you want to call this is strong wind. This is straight line wind, which is blowing straight out from the storm. That's why the National Weather Service is issuing this warning for Pittsylvania County. You can see Will pulling out a little bit on the radar. Fortunately, as these do make their way into Virginia, they're moving into cooler air. So this means that these storms are not going to be as potent as in North Carolina. As Will mentioned, the main tornado threat that we're going to see today is going to be in the Carolinas. That's why we haven't talked about it on the newscast, because we're simply not warm enough. But strong wind from any of this rain is certainly a concern for us this afternoon, with wind gusts over 40 miles an hour right through here. That's going to be crossing Pittsylvania County. Rain will be increasing at Smith Mountain Lake. Obviously, it's already raining at Smith Mountain Lake. The rain intensity will get stronger. And Alta Vista, Gretna, the Galveston community, Motley, Hurt, Chatham, all moving your direction as this moves from southwest to northeast. Well, let's move this map down so our viewers in Danville can see what's heading their way. And in Danville, you're going to be getting strong straight line wind, 40, possibly to 60 miles an hour. And it is right through here. This leading area of red is the wind. Will, let's change the radar modes and let's put this in the wind mode, the velocity mode, so that we can show our viewers in Danville. Yeah, you can.
Let me just take a sampling and see how. Yeah, we're looking at least 45, 46.
So what Will is doing here, these numbers that are showing up, this is an estimation of what the wind speeds are like in this storm. We can do that with the radar, and as you can see, it's estimating wind near 45 miles an hour with the storm. That is going to be pushing its way toward Danville, as you can see, and also Chatham, the Dry Fork community, Tunstall. If you're watching us and say you're near Tunstall High School, you will be getting strong straight line wind out of this, 40 to 60 miles an hour blowing out of the southwest. So Tunstall, this is going to be moving your direction, as you can see. Will, let's expand out and show the rest of the viewing area, and let's also put this in relation to Lynchburg in case any viewers are just joining us here. And also, I'm hearing the chime going off back there. I know that means you have more warning info coming in. Is there anything that's been, at a glance, I don't see anything that's changed here in the warnings.
No, I believe they're going to keep the tornado warning up until 2:30, and then they should be letting that one expire. And there are just continuations of the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 3 o'clock for Bedford, Franklin, Henry, and Pennsylvania, and until 3:15 for Danville, Martinsville, Halifax, and Henry County. Also, another thing to point out, George, and I don't mean to keep stepping on your toes.
Doing good, Will.
Right, where's my arrow? Right there. Right along, you see these thicker green boxes from Danville over to South Boston. Those are river flood warnings. And that was another thing we talked about yesterday, that all this water's got to go somewhere, and it's going to go in those area rivers. So we're going to be watching the Dan at Danville, Dan at Paces, and Dan at South Boston. They're probably getting a little high now. They're going to continue to get high as we go forward through Wednesday and especially into Thursday. So a cornucopia of concerns that we had with this system, telling you about it yesterday, and obviously it's verifying itself today.
Yeah, Will, when you were showing some of the river levels over the last few days, you were showing that the Dan River is going to be reaching the moderate flood stage, and it's possible it could be maybe on the high end of moderate, if that makes sense. So that could put some water over 501 in the Riverdale area of South Boston, and so that will be something we'll be monitoring for later in the week. Once again, if you're just joining us, I'm George Flickinger along with Will Stafford. The time is 2:29. A tornado warning remains in effect for Martinsville. We have not, though, had any reports of any tornado damage. However, we are seeing strong wind, which is being pushed out from the storm. As you can see on your TV screen, the tornado warning just went away, and the National Weather Service, as Will's in contact with them, is saying that they are not going to reissue this, at least not this second. They're not going to reissue this tornado warning, but straight line wind, 40 to 60 miles an hour, will be occurring with this storm. The strongest wind is going to be across Pittsylvania County, and also if you are watching us and you live in Halifax County, I would be prepared for strong wind, Charlotte County as well. Will?
We do have some storm reports that are coming in. Let me kind of ping those up here.
I'm guessing there's probably going to be a bunch of them coming up from North Carolina. as well.
Correct. And also down here into the south side vicinity. First of all, you notice some of these reports are from this morning with the winter weather that Thomas was tracking for you this morning. These are the most updated ones, and we'll take a peek here. One is a flooding report that was over in Stanleytown. We had some wind damage. Henry County 911 Center reports that a tree was blocking the entire road near Appalachian Drive. That's near Martinsville. And then this one just came in. This is near Swansonville. 911 Center reported a tree down intersection of Mount Cross Road and West Sunrise. That is near Danville. That's just on the outskirts there of Danville.
And by the way, when you're looking at this, when you see it says non-thunderstorm wind damage, it hasn't been classified as anything as of yet. So that's just the generic title that ends up getting. It's wind damage regardless. So we have had some reports of some trees down in the Martinsville area in Henry County. But to reiterate, we have not had a tornado reported. And that's because as the storm is moving northward, it's moving into cooler air. And one of the thumb rules that I use and I've told Will about as well is that when the temperature is colder than 65, it is very difficult to have tornadoes reaching the ground. Circulation up at cloud level, sure. We see that often. In fact, we can see that in 30 and 40 degree days. But unless you're about 65 and warmer, and the chance of the tornado warnings are minute. But we are getting some strong straight line wind out of this right through here, Martinsville, and making its way into Pittsylvania County. Will, I think we're about ready to send our viewers back to regular programming since the tornado warning has ended. Is there any more input you have, sir?
Nothing of any immediate consequence. They are obviously watching these storms as they roll over. We'll probably have more severe thunderstorm warnings throughout the afternoon, especially in Charlotte County and Halifax County. No warning for you right now. Wouldn't shock me if we saw a severe thunderstorm warning issued for you for later on, maybe in the next 60 to 90 minutes or so. But overall, the severe weather threat, as George was saying, should stay into the Carolinas, but the heavy rain threat remains. We're obviously still under a flood watch. Never drive through flooded roadways. Just getting in here, it was a little bit dicey because some of the ponding of water on the roads. So really just a good day to just stay inside.
I think that's the best way to sum it up, Will. So, all right, George Flickinger along with Will Stafford. We will keep watching things for you here behind the scenes, and we'll send you back to regular programming.